Now the Steam Deck is the console that just keeps on giving. And now with this new dock, you can take it to a whole nother level by using it as a dedicated console with any monitor or TV that you like, with 4K gaming up to 60 FPS. Hi everyone, my name is Manny Ratal, and today I'll be reviewing this brand new dock by CHIZHA, which is a completely upgraded version over the standard dock that is offered by Valve. We'll go over all the functionality, the testing, and why you may want to consider this to up the game on your Steam Deck. Now, before we begin, what is a dock and why would you consider it? The best example I can give you is the Nintendo Switch. Just like you can put a Switch into a dock and then connect it to a TV and use it as a standalone console, you can now do that with the Steam Deck as well. You can connect third-party controllers such as an Xbox controller or a PS5 controller or a keyboard and mouse and game on a larger display, so you don't always have to use your Steam Deck in handheld mode. Now, some of the really cool features that this dock offers that it allows up to 4K and 60 Hz of gameplay. So you can upscale the resolution from your Steam Deck to a much higher resolution and enjoy those games. Additionally, at the bottom, you can also install an NVMe SSD drive that you can access through your Steam Deck, which is connected via a USB-C cable for additional storage. So that means you can download more games and store them onto this dock and connect them to your Steam Deck and play them on your monitor or your TV when you like. Now, this dock has an abundance of features, but I want to start off with the port. Now, the first one is a USB-C port, which essentially is used to connect this host device, which is a Steam Deck, with this dock, and it allows you to communicate back and forth with the TV. Now, speaking of TV, you get a HDMI 2.0 port, which allows 40K 60 Hz gameplay. And on the other side, you do get a dedicated LAN port, so you do not need to rely on a Wi-Fi network speed. You can go with a dedicated hardwire internet, so you get the best internet possible when you are playing any sort of online gaming. You get an optical port, which is great for audio, but you also get two USB-C ports. One of them is dedicated for power, and the other is a connection point, which allows 10 gigabytes per second. Now, you also get two USB-A ports, which are great for third-party USB accessories, mainly if you want to connect a dedicated device such as a keyboard or even a headset that allows USB support. So pretty much a universal array of ports are included with this dock. And guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'll do videos like this and the newest tech on a pretty frequent basis. And speaking of tech in Steam Deck, I have noticed that I actually haven't published a video on how to install an emulator and how to run those games on the Steam Deck. So that video will be dropping relatively soon. And if you're watching this video sometime in the future, you can have access to that video right here. So how do you set it up? It's so simple. The first thing you want to make sure is that you have at least a 40-watt brick that will support this dock. So you connect it into the power port. Then you take your Steam Deck, you set it in this very nice silicone grommet so it sits nice and smooth. And with the included USB-C cable, you connect the USB cable to the top of the Steam Deck and you connect the other one to the rear where it says host, and you're good to go. At this point, you will then get a touchscreen display that is right here that will allow you to customize not only the dock, but also give you information about the Steam Deck. And then from there on, all you have to do is find any display that you're using and connect the HDMI port to the back. And now you will be able to display everything on that display that you just connected to. Now, speaking of the touch display, it's actually very, very cool and very, very intuitive. On the default at the front, it will tell you what kind of external display you're currently working with. So it'll tell you what the resolution is. It will also tell you the exact display model that you're currently connected to, which is very, very convenient. And it will allow you to understand at what resolution and what hertz that the display is currently broadcasting your Steam Deck to. Additionally, you can go into other customizability by customizing not only how frequently or how powerful you want the fan to be activated with the deck, but you can also fiddle around with other settings such as the lighting and also how much power you want going into the dock and how much power you want going to the Steam Deck. So all of these are completely customizable features that you really don't get with the standard dock that Valve offers. So once you're connected, everything is good to go, and all you really need to do is connect a third-party controller or a keyboard and mouse to your Steam Deck to now be able to control everything on that external display. Now, I personally used a PS5 controller, which is actually very easy to set up. You simply go into pairing mode on your PS5, and then in the Steam Deck settings, go to Bluetooth and pair the device. And then it's exactly one-to-one controller settings. So you'll be able to control everything very easily. Same goes as if you were to use an Xbox controller. Now, one of the great things about using this dock is, like I said, you can experience everything from a distance and you don't have to play everything in handheld mode. Now, from my experience, a lot of the AAA titles will struggle if you're trying to get that 4K 60 FPS gameplay. However, some of the older titles in your library and a lot of the indie games are gonna look and play absolutely amazing. Now, outside of your Steam library, I think this is a wonderful opportunity to have a dedicated console for all your emulators. Now, if you aren't familiar, the Steam Deck is actually a wonderful and quite powerful emulation device. So PS2 games, even some Xbox 360 games and GameCube and pretty much everything previous to those generations look and play very good on the Steam Deck. So rather than now you having to play those games in handheld mode, you can now play them as they were originally intended in console mode on a much larger display. So if you haven't even considered downloading an emulator for your Steam Deck, do that first, get those installed, and then you can really take advantage of this dock. Now, if you are interested in purchasing this dock, I do have the link in the description below, and I'll post a link on the display right here. Now, they just started a Kickstarting campaign, CHIZHA. They're really big up-and-comers into the market, and I love the fact that they were able to take all of the great elements of the Steam Deck and customize it into this programmable dock and really add an extra element to the end user by now allowing it to use as a dedicated console. Now, speaking of dedicated console, you don't have to use it just as a console. You can now have the opportunity connected to a monitor and use this as an external PC, because once again, you have to remember that the Steam Deck does allow you to use it as desktop mode. So the SteamOS, which is essentially a Linux operating system, is a full-blown operating system where you can use it to load up browsers, install third-party applications and other APIs, and you are pretty much good to go. So if you want to use this as a console, or if you want to use this for this as a dedicated PC, you're in luck. So if you haven't used your Steam Deck OLED in a while, or the original Steam Deck, dust it off, get this dock. Now you have a completely new use case for it. So let me know if you end up getting a dock. Let me know if you've used other docks and what your experience has been in the comments below. But other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.